Welcome to Impact. A humanitarian crisis is developing in Iraq. Up to 500,000 people have been forced to flee the city of Mosul after Islamist militants overran it and took control. Well, the Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki is calling it a conspiracy. But just who are these militants and what do they want? Well, the group responsible is ISIS. The name stands for the Jihadist Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, or al-Sham. The group is relatively young, having been formed in April 2013 as an offshoot of an al-Qaeda group. But in just over a year, it's already responsible for scores of deadly attacks across Iraq and Syria. And the motivations behind those attacks? Fighting for an Islamic state that would straddle the borders of both countries and across the eastern Mediterranean. We'll get more on this in a moment. But first, Paul Adams brings us up to date on the fall of Mosul.
The exodus from Mosul goes on. These dramatic pictures from the Tigris River show civilians fleeing, fighting on the other side. Perhaps as many as 500,000 people have now left Iraq's second largest city. Roads are clogged as families seek shelter in nearby Kurdish areas. In Mosul itself, the smouldering aftermath of a battle that didn't take long. The militants attacked just 5 days ago. On Monday, the provincial governor urged residents to hold firm. Hours later, he was gone. Iraq's outgunned security forces weren't far behind. Militants now control government offices and banks too.
Today we are dealing with this situation. We are not going to allow this to carry on, irrespective of the price.
In January, another major city, Fallujah, fell to the same hardline group, the Islamic State in Iraq and the Levant. The government has tried and failed to take it back. Tens of thousands of people have fled. ISIS now controls a broad swathe of territory across the Middle East. In Iraq's Anbar province, Fallujah is still in rebel hands, and there's been fighting in Ramadi too. In Syria, the group is involved in fighting in Aleppo and has a regional base in Raqqa. And now, in a dramatic extension of their influence, they have Mosul too.
This group of people now, there's tens of thousands of these guys, and they now have a territory. They control territory, they control border crossing points, they control oil resources, mineral resources, trade, income. They have a base in the middle of the Middle East.
In Syria, ISIS has waged a savage campaign against Shia Muslims and Christians, part of its wider effort to create an Islamic state. It's made extensive use of foreign fighters, including some of the hundreds of young British Muslims who've gone out to fight. Back in Iraq, the government is struggling to respond. Overnight, there were clashes in Baiji, whose major oil refinery supplies much of the country. These unverified pictures appear to show fighting before the militants reportedly withdrew. With hundreds of thousands of Iraqis once more on the move, it's clear the country is now in the grip of a crisis as bad as anything since American forces left 3 years ago. Paul Adams, BBC News.
Well, let's get more on this. Joining me now from BBC Arabic is Mohammed Yaya. Mohammed, a desperate situation unfolding on the ground there. Nouri al-Maliki gave a press conference within the last hour, calling it a conspiracy. I mean, just tell us a little bit more about that and the thinking there.
Yes, this is something that he said yesterday and he repeated today, and he mentioned the word conspiracy several times. The stunning way that Mosul and the whole province of Nineveh fell yesterday is making everybody raise question marks because yesterday Maliki said that there were enough forces there to repel thousands of attackers. And he has in the past alluded to this regional conspiracy of external countries. He hasn't named any countries, but you know, Maliki is seen as an ally of Iran, and in the past there were tensions between Iraq and Saudi Arabia and other Gulf nations. I mean, this is what he was referring to. But for the moment, he has a lot to deal with in terms of the desperate situation on the ground.
And just if you can, Mohammed, just shed some light on us on the situation at the Turkey building in Mosul. I understand that there's been an embassy building there that's been under attack as well.
We heard in the past hour that the Turkish consulate in Mosul has been taken over by the ISIS fighters, and the head of the mission has been taken hostage along with a number of consulate staff.
This is obviously going to be affecting a number of countries looking in on this. I mean, how do you think the West are going to react to this, if they can at all, in this situation?
We heard that the Iraqi government has appealed to various foreign countries for help. Yesterday we heard that the American embassy in Baghdad was contacted and asked for American military assistance, and they are waiting for a response. And also Maliki has appealed to the EU and other regional allies to help him.
We know that America had said that this attack will infect the entire region. I just want to ask you, before we let you go, Mohammed, about the people, the some 500,000 people that are trying to flee the city at the moment. I mean, what of them do we know of their fate and where they're going to be heading to?
Okay, Nineveh is a big province. It has 3.5 million people. We know that about 500,000 have fled, and a lot of them have fled to northern, the Kurdish areas. But, you know, there are still 3 million people there under the control of the ISIS fighters.
Yeah, an incredible situation unfolding there. Mohammed, thank you very much for talking us through that. Mohammed Yaya there from BBC Arabic. Thank you. So how did ISIS take Iraq's second biggest city? That's one of the main articles on our special section of the BBC News website. Do take a look. Just log on to bbc.com/Iraq for the latest video feature and, of course, analysis from all our correspondents in the region.